Hello and welcome everybody. The Sumifs formula is going to be the focus of this lesson. Now, Sumifs are a fantastic formula. It allows you to sum based on multiple criteria. So I've created this little table. So we've got a country running down here and we've got a month going across here. Now we'll take this to these two criteria, and the criteria is going to be, for our first example, we've got USA and the month of January. And you see I've highlighted the two that are going to hit that criteria. Criteria for the country and criteria for the month. I'm going to say, okay, the answer is going to be the summation of equals this cell plus this cell, but that might change. So you might want to change the month and focus. You might want to change the criteria country. So how would we use Sumifs to do that? Well, let's first look at the syntax. So it is Sumifs, open bracket, and then what is the sum range, yeah? Now, in this instance, the sum range is this range here, yeah? Now, what we need to do after this is fairly repetitive. We look at the criteria range, and then we look at which is the first range in our criteria, so it's going to be our country. And then next we look at the criteria itself, and that would be, in this case, the USA. Yeah? So that is one round. We could finish the formula right there, but the cool part about the Sumifs formula is it allows us to put multiple criteria together. So it's separated with a comma, and we basically just repeat that process again. So I'll just copy that, paste it here, and then criteria 1 becomes criteria 2. And in our second instance, the second criteria is going to be our month. Yeah? So our first criteria is our country, and our second criteria is our month. And obviously this range here needs to be covering the month. So we just follow that, and we can repeat that almost into perpetuity. It's 127 times. Yeah? So you don't want to get into repeating it sort of more than about 4 or 5 times. That's like your formulas can start to grind. Also, it gets difficult for people to read your formulas. So yeah, you might want to just watch the way your spreadsheet's structured if it's getting deep and heavy into some of these formulas, yeah? Or the criteria, more to the point. All right, let's go through this practical example with our sum range, our criteria range, and our criteria. So in cell F2, we type in equals Sumifs, open a bracket, and IntelliSense tells us that we need our sum range first. So we isolate the sum range, and then I'm just going to leave it hanging because it's a one-time only formula. So we'll type a comma, and then we're into the second part. And this is a fantastic feature. You don't have to remember the syntax, but what will happen is after you've done it over and over again, it just goes into your head. Yeah? All right, so our criteria range is down here. So A2 to A19. Now, one of the things to watch out for is you need to keep this symmetrical. If it starts in 2 and ends in 19, you need to be flexible all the way through. Yeah? All right, so we type a comma and then we go to our criteria, and our criteria is in D2. Yeah? Now that's one round. I could finish the formula now, and that would give me the answer for just all of the data that relates to USA. But we'll continue. So I'll take that bracket out. Now we go comma, and then we bring in our second criteria range. Yeah? So that's the information for our month. Yeah? Now we type a comma, and then our second criteria is just here. And having them in these two cells gives us the ability to change. All right, so basically we want the summation of 223 and 203, which should give us 426. So we press enter, and hashtag kaboom, 426 smashes into that cell. All right, so we we can change the criteria in here, so we can change the data so it was like a different month. So you could say, oh, we'll take that May, and then we'll get the summation of May. There's only one, so it's 143. So it now gives you the ability to move and change, yeah? And you can take that formula out, as I said. You just move, if you've got more criteria, it's common, comma, the third criteria range, comma, the third criteria, yeah? So that's effectively how you create a Sumifs formula. I've created a couple of extra examples just to sort of push the ideas behind Sumifs. Now, we're using dates, so I've got this example too. It's exactly the same data, and I've got USA, and where it's greater than or equal to the 1st of February, yeah? So we'll go through the same process. It's good practice. We'll put our cursor in F2, sum ifs, open bracket, our sum range first, comma, our criteria 1 range, comma, our criteria, yeah? Comma, and we're into our second criteria range, comma, our second criteria. Notice how I've got this greater than or equal to February, yeah? So you'll see I've got it highlighted. We've got 206 and 143, which is 349, yeah? So we press enter, 349 smashes into that cell, yeah? And then that should give us the ability to change it, yeah? Now, let's say your cell is not formulated in that way, yeah? So in this sheet, I've got the data in the same sort of format. I've left the formula there, I've got those on. Now, what I might do is I might copy the formula and paste it over here. Now, we've got just February in there, yeah? So where it's equal to E2 and there's no greater than or equals to sign just in there, yeah? So how do we get it when the form, we want to use the date and the data's not like that? Now, intuitively, you would think you would just write in here is greater than or equal to February. See how it doesn't work? Yeah? Now, this is a trick for new players. What you've got to do is you've got to put this in quotation marks and use the and symbol. So greater than or equal to needs to be in quotation marks, use the and symbol, and then look what happens. It pulls the data in, so it replicates that 349 there. Let's say we want to extend this so it covers all of these countries in the Americas. Well, it's just a matter of using the wildcard character. So if you place the wildcard character in here, what that becomes is all of these countries for this second criteria, which is greater than or equal to February. So to get that 2468, it's all of this data, and then it's Control-Shift-L. So I'll just grab the data. We want to exclude January, and then it's February, March, April, and May, and then the summation of that is 2468. So if I put a little alt equals, enter 2468. So, well, you can't see the answer at the moment, but that's all good. Control-Shift-L, just remember 2468, 2468. I mean, obviously that's going to change because it's a subtotal, but yeah. So that's effectively a range of ways that you can use the Sumifs formula. So hope you've enjoyed it. There's heaps more examples on thesmallman.com. Have a great day, everybody.